Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Bulletproof Entrepreneur Podcast. My guest today is Tabitha Carro. Tabitha was a former elementary school teacher who quit her full-time job to start up the Smartphone Marketing School. It's a blog and a membership site where she shares smartphone design techniques with fellow online marketers. Through her course and her content, she teaches her members how to leverage just their cell phones to create professional videos, product videos, and social media designs without the need of camera equipment, Photoshop, or outsourcing design work. She's here to tell us a little bit about herself and her background, about how she got started in this part of social media marketing and why she decided that she needed to take the jump from being a teacher for 13 years to a full-time entrepreneur. So with that said, Tabitha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chi. I'm super excited to be here.
Great, Tabitha. So tell us your background, tell us your origin story. How did you get from Tabitha to the Smartphone Marketing School?
Well, I had no business background at all. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I am a career teacher and got my degree in teaching elementary education. So about halfway through my teaching career, I got a new position where I was teaching in a Spanish immersion program, and I was teaching fourth grade and needed to kind of really supplement what I was doing there. So I was trying to learn how to create my own activities and games and things for my students. And I came across a website, an open marketplace where teachers can sell their unique lesson plans and activities and all that good stuff that they've created for their own classroom. They can actually sell those files, digital files, online at this site to other teachers. So for me, it was a win-win. I was already investing all this extra time into supplementing my curriculum. So I started posting there. And that was, I'd done some other things in the past, cake decorating and just here and there, but that was my first step into my own business. And it has gone really well. I still get passive income from my store that I have there, and the site's called Teachers Pay Teachers. Mm-hmm. But it was just very exhausting, obviously, because it continued to demand more and more of my time. Mm-hmm. And I discovered things that, I needed to be doing besides just creating. As a business owner, I needed to be marketing. So I was trying to, I started a YouTube channel. I'm taking product videos, product photos with my husband's camera equipment because he is, a photographer as a hobby. And so he had all the stuff, thankfully. But for me, I'm just, a school teacher trying to market my side hustle. Mm-hmm. And it was exhausting and very difficult. So much learning curve and the setup and the then transferring everything to my desktop and learning the software on there. I was spending so much time that I didn't have at all to create just one video or, a session of product photos. So when I upgraded my iPhone, I've always had iPhone, but when I upgraded to iPhone 6 was mm-hmm. really when I was like, wait a minute, this camera's not that bad. And I started substituting it instead of my husband's camera for photos. And then I think the 6S, I started using video as well, using it for video. And I just love the fact that I could take that footage and I didn't have to be at a desktop to process it and to create and edit that video. I could sit on the couch because I was already exhausted after mm-hmm. spending a long day at work. And I just fell in love with it. And I just kept playing around, exploring new apps, all this stuff. And at the same time, I was kind of sharing here and there because I'm in a niche community of entrepreneurs in this teaching mm-hmm. Website world. And so I had friends asking how I was doing things, and I just realized how much I loved sharing. I am a teacher at heart anyway, and I was like kind of looking to go into a different direction, to move away a little bit from the teacher resource mm-hmm. world that I was in. And so I just started an Instagram account first of all, and then it went to a website blog. Then it went to a membership to monetize and also provide in-depth content. And it's just gone really well. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Oh. Wow, that's a very long and very indirect journey to where you are. But I want to go back a little bit. I want to go back, a couple years before you actually got started. You mentioned your husband. Now, I know from reading your bio and listening to a few podcasts that you've done that you met your husband online, and of course you became fluent as a result of meeting your husband, because he's from Argentina and you're from the United States, and you had to communicate. So tell us a little bit about that story and then how you learned Spanish, because I think that thread ties into what you did with building the MS school.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's my favorite story to tell. So yes, I'm just a girl that fell in love with Spanish. I had an awesome professor at college, and I'd always loved to travel. So I spent a couple months in Honduras, but I wasn't really making headway with my fluency. And it was just a hobby, but also a passion that I wanted to become fluent. And so online, there was this really obscure website called lingolux.com, and I'll probably go in after and check if it's still up. We always go in like every year or so and see if it's still there. But basically, you get pen pals from anywhere in the world that wants to do an inter-exchange and communicate, kind of like pen pals back in the day, but it was online, to practice each other's target language. I believe it's just for English and Spanish. It may have been other languages as well. But so I had a ton of friends that I was communicating with, and he was one of them. And it just, goodness, it was probably 4 or 5 months of just chatting and everything before there was any kind of like interest beyond just practicing the language. And then it kind of just went from there. And it was perfect for me to kind of build up my language skills, because first there's just a lot of writing, texting, chat, that kind of thing, where I wasn't yet ready to vocally be fluent. And then I got a Nextel phone, and so we would just walkie-talkie each other all the time. And then that's really helped me with my oral fluency. And then, of course, things got serious. We met each other first in Peru because he couldn't get a tourist visa. He tried and he was denied. He was young, male, and not the ideal candidate. Yeah. And then so we ended up doing the fiance visa, and I visited him a ton in Argentina. We got married in Argentina, and then I had to come back. Actually, I'm a school teacher, and so I had to come back by myself the summer we got married, because I still had to do my job, and his papers hadn't gotten through. So it was a really weird situation. And then in October of that year, 2007, he got his paperwork, and he came over right away, and we got married like the second day that he arrived in the United States for the first time ever. It was just kind of like we just jumped in, do or die. Yeah. And it's been amazing because, obviously that helped me land the teaching job that I got, that actually got me involved with creating these resources in my business. But he as well is actually, his background is graphic design. That's what he's done. So I learned so much from that. And he's just, digitally artistic, all that good stuff with photography and what looks right and what doesn't. So he's kind of mentored me in that way, which has been so helpful, because, I was really clueless about a lot of the things that I needed to create marketing visuals for my business with design and video. And it's kind of nice when you're married to somebody that can say, hey, these colors don't go, or this needs to contrast better,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's such a wonderful and awesome story, because when I listened to that on several podcasts that you had done, I was like, huh, there's actually a thread between, her meeting this guy and her starting this business. Because I personally, when I imagine teachers, that especially teachers that I went to college with in the States, I know a lot of them are focused on, helping kids build their skills, teaching them. They're passionate about all that. And they're usually not thinking about, starting a business or running a business or even being creative outside of the classroom. But you meet this person online, and that thread becomes a relationship, which becomes a business inspiration, which leads to you creating this enterprise that you have, where you are now leveraging his expertise into your business, and you've created something together. So I just wanted to learn more and to tell people that, don't close yourself up to serendipitous experiences that you may encounter while you're going across your business or your life.
Yeah, absolutely. You have just no idea like how your, future can completely change just, by one meeting, one day, one conversation. It can be life changing.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So tell us more about creating visual content with the iPhone. I know I currently use an iPhone myself, but I prefer this medium of podcasting and talking. I am not very creative. It's such a chore for me to, even even take photos and post them on Instagram. When people ask me, I was at a meeting yesterday. Somebody asked me, "Oh, what's my Instagram?" I was like, "Oh, I don't use my Instagram." But you can find me on LinkedIn. But tell us more about being able to, especially if you don't have that creative or artistic talent or skill set, to start creating visual and engaging mediums on Facebook and whatever social media platform.
Well, I would just say that this is the age, 2018, it's the age of not having to be professional at all. And look at all the viral videos. Are they usually well edited, professional? Like, no, not at all. It's usually anything that just captures enjoyable moment, authentic, relatable, all that good stuff. So what I recommend to people, I'm proof that, yes, I've always loved creating, and I do consider myself a creative spirit, but I did not know rules or anything like that when it comes to design and all that good stuff. It's totally can be self-taught, and you just need to practice. And what I am really encouraging people right now is to start with stories, whether it's Facebook stories. Most people should have that at their Facebook page if you have a Facebook page. But if you are promoting your business from your personal account, you've got stories right there too, or also Instagram stories, because you can be as unedited, in fact, you want to be as possible, and you can show behind the scenes of what you're working on, your business. If you have an inspirational moment and you just want to impact your audience and share that, you can share that. Whenever you find something helpful that's helping you, you can just get on really quick and do a story and let people know that. So I always recommend that, because even though you may think, oh, well, I'm just like pressing the record button, or I'm just taking a photo really quick. Every time you're doing that, you are learning, you're practicing, you're getting better at visual content creation, whether you realize it or not, because you'll start being like, well, hey, now I can add a filter. Well, maybe I'll add some text. Where should that text go? What color should I use? Like, these questions will just be popping up as you're posting to stories, and they'll keep making you better and better. And so then hopefully that will increase your comfortableness with starting to produce, photos and designs and even video on your phone that would then be quality enough for your feed as well. Awesome. So do you do stories?
Me? No, I've not even experimented with the story, because I feel it's like I have to put my face up there and I have to talk about something, and I just rather talk on audio and not do video. Like even as we're going to do the podcast, I asked you, do you want to do video? Because I know a lot of podcasters are going the video route, and I'm still not very comfortable putting myself out there. So that's why I ask, because, I prefer to just be behind the scenes. People hear my voice, you can go to my website and interact with me that way. So I've not even gotten to stories yet.
Well, you don't, and the things that I mentioned were kind of like from an entrepreneur, like person that likes to, no, I'm the same way, which is why when you asked me, did I want to do video? I said no, because I like to make sure I'm 100%, my best and I'm ready and everything. Yeah. But like in stories, I, most of the time, do not actually show myself.
Yeah.
There's just, first of all, a lot of times the angle you share with your audience is what you're looking at and what you're seeing, whether there's something interesting or, my dog makes it a lot of the time in my stories. But then, obviously I'm comfortable with a lot of design apps, and there's lots of apps now that provide vertical sizing for stories. So you, once you get comfortable with that, you can easily whip out, like if you have a message to say, hey, new podcast out, or, anything you've got, an update to your, business, you can just run a quick, and you don't even have to use a design app. Okay. There's so many.
So what are some design apps that you can leverage in addition to Instagram if you're trying to do this and you're not too comfortable with your artistic ability?
Totally. Well, I always recommend Word Swag.
Okay.
Because especially if you're just starting out and you're like, I am not comfortable with design, because they it's for text on photo designs.
Okay.
And so you can upload a photo or you can choose one of theirs. You don't even have to provide the photo, but they will provide you with a ton of font pairing options. So you put your text in there and they put it all together where the alignment's correct and all of that good stuff. So you're not even having to try to figure that out. And you're basically just tapping the styles, and you can get pick variations of each style that will like rearrange the text differently every time. And so it's basically just tapping the screen until you see something you like. So I always recommend that when you're just starting out, because you really don't have to have any creativity. The app does it for you.
Okay. Now, what about, small business, local businesses and small business owners? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? Every business knows they need to have a presence on social media. I go to my local dentist and I see their Facebook page or their Instagram page is just like yucky photos of tooth. It's not really interesting. It doesn't grab my attention. It's not something that I want to say, oh man, these guys are pretty cool. Let me walk into this. Everything always seems the same. So how can, those type of local businesses be better at, putting their, what I call it, their photos or their visual representation on the internet in a better format?
Well, obviously, using your phone, I think is great, because then, in the moment when you, have something interesting, if there's something as you're, going through your day in your shop and there's something interesting to you, then stop in that moment and think, would this be interesting to my audience while also being a reflection of my business? And so that would be a time to stop and go ahead and take a photo or whatever. Something I highly recommend, and it seems silly, but it's just before you take a photo or a video, always wipe your phone lens, camera lens, because you're carrying this with you all the time. And there's so many times that I see photos and I want to like private message the person and be like, hey, if you wipe your lens, it's not going to be cloudy looking. It's going to be clearer. And I can tell it's just, for me personally, I'll be like, oh, it's not, this photo's not sharp. I'll wipe my lens, take it again, and it's incredible, the difference. But as far as like you said, how to make things interesting, you're going to have to spend a little bit of time following other people and learning and being inspired from what works. What are people doing that does work? And I'll be the first to say I don't like copying, or, especially there is a lot of cookie cutter trend on Instagram, and what works, and will get you likes and engagement. But if it's not authentic to you and it's not unique to you and it's not making people take notice of your business, what's the point anyways? I mean, just pat yourself on the back because you got, 10 more likes or something. Like, if it's not helping your business, like, don't copy in that way. But still, as far as like general rules of composition, and what works and different unique angles and perspectives, if you spend time and follow some people that are doing things in a way that you like and really draws your attention, then you'll learn from them.
And then what about growing your reach and your followers specifically? Are there any specific tactics one can use to do that?
For Instagram or
for Instagram.
Okay. Instagram, it continually changes. So, I do think that, there's things I've done in the past that did work, but I tend to not really feel good about it, like it being authentic. And that would be like the pods. I don't know if you've heard of that, where you get like a group of people and, you kind of all are like, okay, we'll post at this one time of the day. And then you just know once you post, then you go around to everyone in the group and you like and comment. So that's something that has worked in the past, but it just doesn't feel really authentic. I think always try to think of something that will spark conversation. Right now, comments, if you can get your post to start a dialogue and get comments, that seems to be rewarded the most. And I think that also is just better for you as well. I mean, you can post a pretty picture and get a bunch of likes, but are people going to remember that post or remember you? No, they're more likely to remember if you actually get them writing on your post. So consider that, ask a question on your post. But something that I have struggled with as somebody who teaches, whose Instagram is for content and learning, that's not, people don't go on to Instagram to learn. So it's something I have to keep in mind is don't try to start conversations or do engagement things that require too much effort either. Okay. Like, it's got to be something that the person wants to talk about, that's going to give them pleasure to comment on your post, not something like, I mean, I've often done in the past, like, what app do you use for something like that? And oftentimes people are just not motivated to take that effort. It's just got to be something that, and a lot of times just a post pointing out a pet peeve of yours that is relatable in your business. Like I have I did like a little meme. Memes.
Sorry.
And those obviously seem to always work well. But I did a meme of, this like kid was unhappy because he was just sad or whatever. And I said something about, me when when somebody unsubscribes from my email list. So I was, sharing about business, something I think we can all relate when we see those unsubscribes from our email list, and yet providing humor. And so people were commenting, like, I don't care, I don't, and then other people were like, yeah, that bothers me too. So it was a topic that we all think about, but just don't ever discuss. So people were wanting to comment. So it's just things like that. It's really a knack. And it's a skill I'm trying to still figure out as it relates to my business. But just that knack of getting people to interact with your post in a way that makes sense for what your business purpose is, and not just to get likes. Because if you can't get both of those, engagement and people to think about your business, then it's really not worth all the effort in trying to produce a post that gets engagement.
Interesting. So now, talking about your business, the Smartphone Marketing School, who are the typical clients that enroll in the Smartphone Marketing School, and what do they usually intend to get out of the training?
So my ideal member right now is usually female. But I do have males. It's usually a busy female side hustler typically, but also some full-time business owners as well that are trying to save time and also market their business. I have a lot of people who are product based, so they need to learn more about lighting and photography and videography. I have a lot of moms who do not want to always have to be sitting at a desktop. Even if they're working on their business on their phone, at least they can be on the couch. At least they can be holding their child. And I don't obviously promote phone addiction at all, but I'm not saying that, but if you could at least be with your child while you're working and not sitting at a desk, I think that's still so much better. So yeah, what is taught in my membership can be applied to many businesses that need to produce online marketing visuals, but it's typically very busy, very busy people that are looking to work smarter, not harder, that need to produce their own marketing visuals quickly. There's always a reason that you get designers to work on things for you, but in today's social media crazed age, like, it doesn't make sense for you to always be going to a designer for an Instagram post or, things like that. When you can when you can develop that skill on your own, you get so much independence as well. And obviously not knocking designers. And I've used my husband all the time for special designs, but on a day-to-day basis, the fact that just the other night I was working on a video and I wanted to do a new kind of like video logo, and I was able to do that. I use the Video Shop app, which is a great app that I recommend for Android and iPhone. And I was able to do that just in a few minutes. It was at midnight. I mean, you're not going to be able to go online to Fiverr or wherever and be like, oh, I want this video logo exactly the way you want it and get it in 5 minutes. That's just not going to happen. So it's just people that really want that kind of independence to still be producing their content and be in control of the visuals that go out on social media for their business. And yet it's not this huge learning curve or time consuming thing like it typically can be when you're using all the professional gear and stuff.
I love that. And now, this is more of a mindset question, but what gave you the courage to leave the teaching profession and focus on this business full time?
So for me, it was something that I knew that I wanted to do for a while. I think for me, it was just getting continually frustrated with how things, even though I was at a very amazing school, but I think I was very frustrated at the lack of independence, the lack of freedom that I had in my job. And I think any U.S. teachers especially can relate. I mean, having to plan out when I'm going to go to the bathroom, never getting to go to lunch or anything like that, scheduling, when am I going to be able to text my husband? Something came up. Well, I've got to wait, which is totally understandable, obviously, when you're with children. And you just have to absolutely be consumed and love that to deal with it. You're constantly having to go to meetings after hours. You sit there and you're told what to do. And for me, it was the more successful I became with my side hustle. It was amazing. Like the more I was just like, I'm not going to take this. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you kidding me? Like, here I am having this separate world, having the success, having people look to me for help and guidance. And then it was weird because one issue that was really kind of pushed me out the door was just like having to sit in a conference with a parent. And it was very, for me personally, with my personality, it just felt very demeaning and disrespectful of my skills and what I was providing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when I was getting the success and feeling this and being valued, I felt like for what I was providing and the help I was providing, instead of being criticized or judged, like I felt like in my day job, then I was like, this is what I want. And then there's just the aspects of entrepreneur life and self-employed life that are amazing. Choosing when you get up every day, choosing what you do every day, not having to have your creativity hampered because somebody's telling you, okay, no, this is what we want. I'm the final word on, what I do with my creativity, and it doesn't have to be kind of squashed with some authority figure telling me something different. But that's me personally, and I'll just put a side note that the school I was at, amazing, awesome, wonderful, and the things that I'm speaking of speak to the situation in general for a teacher in the U.S. And it's just so difficult. You have to absolutely, that has to be your passion, life passion, really, to hang in there. And for me, I change, every 5 or 6 years, I get the itch that I need to do something different. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's so true because in recent times, I think teachers have lost the respect they used to have. Like, I know when our parents went to school or our grandparents went to school, teachers were so much more respected. I remember even my mom telling me about my grandpa who didn't get past the 6th grade education, but he was the headmaster of a school, and he had so much respect in town. People used to come seek his advice and whatnot. And now these days, it's like if you're a teacher in a classroom, you have to be almost like, I call it subservient to the will of the parent. So you have to make sure that, whatever the parent tells you is what goes and not what you as a teacher that is trying to shape and mold the thinking of their child should work. So it's sad that it's gone down like that because it is a noble profession. And if teachers were to walk out of teaching and their calling, then it's going to be a struggle. I know no parent wants to stay at home and teach their child for an extended period of time. So I think structurally there needs to be kind of like a renaissance of bringing back the respect teachers have to society. I don't know how it's going to be done, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I totally agree with you. And I think, when you give any human being respect and you make them feel valued, and obviously in my environment, I had a lot of that, and I had a lot of parents that did. But it's just the whole system in general. Like when you don't give freedom to somebody, it takes away their passion. And I know that's a lot of what happened to me too. Was just like you start to burn out and not feel that the effort is worth it to go above and beyond in what you're doing. So. Yeah.
Cool. So, we've talked a lot about your business. We've talked about your passion for teaching and training people. Let's talk a little bit about advice for new entrepreneurs as we start to wind down the show. You've already said a lot, but I'd like for you to, identify maybe 2 or 3 tips you think would be useful for somebody that working on their side hustle now and thinking of making the leap to full time, or is thinking, okay, I'm doing what I'm doing, but I don't like it. How can I start to explore my creativity to figure out what I can do to create something that will generate income for myself and my family?
Absolutely. I would encourage them to pursue, to Google and find all the different possibilities of passive income, and don't put all of your eggs in one basket. So for me, I don't have all of my eggs in smartphone marketing school. I still have my teacher business. I have a separate membership for teachers. I've started a monthly subscription model for people that want to learn stories. So I have 4 or 5 income streams, and obviously that would take a while, and that may not be what works for everybody. But if you're a person who needs peace of mind to leave your job, building multiple revenue streams, I think, is very helpful, because it's not likely that all of those are going to be taken out in one day. So definitely that. Another thing that I wish I had done that I didn't do was like get a hold of your finances, whatever program helps you do it, or if it's just Excel, or right now I'm using self-employed QuickBooks and I'm really loving that. But like the more you know about every dollar that comes in that you're earning and every dollar that comes out, you don't have to fear the unknown, because you know what is your bottom line? Yeah. What do you need to be making? And for me, it was just kind of up in the air. Okay, I'm making these, thousands. It was just like a general number. I think I'm spending this much. Well, then I don't know what is my bottom line to leave my job and to become self-employed. And yet you can say, hey, I'm going to be brave and take a step of faith and just quit. It's worked for people, but like, all the stress and anxiety that I would had, and that you will probably have because you just aren't sure where you stand financially. Like, why? Like, be smart too. So just definitely make sure you get your finances figured out. And another thing I'll say, if you're a creative spirit and you love to create, or whatever you're doing with your business wise, you're so passionate about it, but you're not a data person, like still try to make that effort to check your data, your analytics, your traffic, because I'm just now, like I have the Google Analytics app on my phone, and I have a couple other things I check. I check my email subscribers and things like that, but really try to get to the source of what you're doing for your business that's giving you the biggest return on investment of your time, and focus more on that, because you're so exhausted and limited with time. If you're trying to do every social media platform or every marketing strategy, I'm sure that the majority of your efforts are not producing a lot as this one thing that you're doing that you don't even realize is your real what do they call it? Money. I can't think of the phrase, but it's like your one thing that really is bringing in the traffic or the sales. And so just get a hold of your analytics and data too, so that you know what is worth your time, and focus more on that, and don't stress when you see people, like I said, jump on the stories. If that's not for you, like don't do it. Don't jump on the bandwagon because everybody else is doing that, because you're going to burn yourself out and not even probably get the results that you're looking for with that effort.
Oh, man, that's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. And I know, just to summarize all that, basically what Tabitha is telling us, that, one is the most dangerous number there is, one job, one income stream. Not one wife. Don't take
except for that.
Except for that. But when it comes to finances and being, an economic person, being able to take care of yourself and your family, don't rely on one source, Even one source of traffic is very dangerous too, because what if Instagram or Facebook goes away, then you're stuck.
Oh,
so.
Absolutely. Especially with social media.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I said put your efforts more on one or two platforms, but yes, don't just do that, because social media, like they will pull the rug out on you.
Yeah.
At any time. They don't care that it hurts your business. With a new algorithm, they're going to do it. So yeah, you totally can't bank on just one.
Cool. Well, Tabitha, it's been so much fun having you on the show to share your story and words of wisdom. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out on the Bulletproof Entrepreneur podcast and just hang out and inspire people listening to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I totally enjoyed it.
Great. And where can people find you and learn more about you and your business, and obviously try and reach out to you should they want to reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook primarily, and you can always message me there. Just look for Smartphone Marketing School. And then at courses.tabithacarro.com, that's TABITHACARRO, you'll find all my free stuff that I have, unless I have an enrollment, but that's just once every quarter. And then my website is tabithacarro.com. You can access my blog there, and I have a lot of content about learning to use your phone to market your business.
Great. And I'll link to all that in the show notes once this episode is published. So thanks for coming on, Tabitha. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Chi. I appreciate it so much.
Great.